Who have you become this year as a leader? And what are you invited to embody more of, to step into next year? As we are gearing up to the end of the year, it's a time to reflect and time to look into your own evolution as a leader that truly matter, not only for yourself, but also for the people and organization and business that you lead. And I want in this episode share with you my learnings and my observations from walking this path for about 10 years myself, and also having the pleasure to accompany and guide many talented, brilliant leaders through this important evolution and process that every leader is invited to. If you found yourself this year in questions without answers, in confusions, in mental loops, in stuckness or stagnation, despite trying everything which you could and knew, and working hard and dedicating yourself fully, then I believe this episode will provide you a deeper look into why it might have been happening for you and answers that you seek. Welcome to Extraordinary Leadership Podcast, a place where bold, visionary, and conscious leaders rise. I'm Dagmara, executive and transformational coach, speaker, and founder of Extraordinary Leadership Movement. Here, we do not just talk about leadership, we redefine it, exploring a new paradigm, rooted in aligned energy, powerful presence, and impact, and human evolution that allow leaders, businesses, and cultures to thrive. So if you're ready to lead differently and shape the future of leadership and success from the highest place of self, then you are in the right place. Because extraordinary leadership comes from within. And so let us rise together. Leadership evolution is human evolution. And human evolution is something that is ingrained in our DNA, is part of our purpose and meaning here. And it's something that is inevitable to happen if we are aware of it or not. And when we are in a leadership roles and leadership careers and paths, either, leading in a corporate world or leading our own businesses, we are going through certain conscious evolutions. And if you are aware of it or not, that is what is really happening. But not every leader is picking up the call to rise, picking up the call and leaning into that evolution fully and benefit from what that conscious evolution of a leader and human being invites to. And as a result of it, many leaders find themselves in exhaustion, in pushing hard, in carrying a lot of responsibility on the shoulders, in motivating the team through clarity, communication, and goals, but finding it hard to really reach those destinations, reach this performance, reach this level of aspirations and impact without exhaustion, without hard work, without pressure, a lot of pressure and stress. Some are sensing something is off, but not, of course, knowing yet what is that off, what is the answer. And many conclude that this is just part of the job. What if actually there is a different way of leading and there is a different way of being as a leader? And what if all of these different challenging moments are just invitation to your own conscious evolution as a leader, as a human being? If you already stepped into the journey of evolving from within, then you know what I'm talking about. And you know that this journey is a never-ending story too. And you've probably seen already many of the benefits and fruits and expansion and liberation in that process, and seen how that transform not only yourself as a human being, but also how you lead, how much more trust you give, how much more impactful you are, how much more effective you are as a leader, and how much more your leadership becomes sustainable, and how much more inspiring you are, and how much more you can realize at the end, and reduce this amount of proving and exhaustion cycles and hustle in a business. But you also know that that's not a linear journey. And you also know that there are different waves along the way. And that is important. The conscious evolution of leaders is never a straight line, is never one fixed moment. It's a constant growing journey. And that is what it's all about. And it can become extremely pleasurable, fun, and adventurous when we really lean in fully into that and we support it along the way. Because, yes, there are episodes that are really shaking us, shaking our identity, shaking us at the core, because that's part of the process of our conscious evolution, expansion, and identity evolution and expansion. In the journey as a leader and as a human being, I see there are inevitable three key stages in that conscious evolution that you as a leader will be invited to. And obviously, it's up to you if you will pick up the call. What you want to do with this insight, what you want to do with this information. And the more you lean in, the more you're going with curiosity and letting yourself actually grow through those different moments, you evolving to the next step, next level of yourself, next level of your being as a human, next level of a leader. And so it actually helps you to climb the ladder, achieve bigger, better goals with more ease, with more flow, and call in synchronicities, opportunities, call it as you like. Because as you evolve through that consciousness ladder, if you like, everything starts to get easier. You are kind of like letting go of the very heavy load that you've been carrying for a long time. That's how it also can feel on one side. And you become more and more authentic, highest expression of yourself, standing in your truth. And guess what? That's actually what people want more of you. I've been invited to walk this journey about 10 years ago myself, when I was in a corporate world, when I witnessed my own challenges as a leader. And today, being where I am today, I can tell you that this journey never ends. This journey deepens. And each year, I'm discovering a deeper layer of myself and deeper layer of the process of identity expansion and conscious evolution. And so, mastery of yourself as a leader, walking and leading consciously, is actually mastery of that evolution. And the beauty of it is each time you navigate it with more grace, each time you navigate it with more awareness, and each time you navigate it consciously, intentionally, and you know when to pull other people's in, because you know where you have your own bandwidth and limits. And so I want to first walk you through, what are the key parts in this leadership evolution that I experience myself, but also witness, of course, in many journeys of leaders that I'm having a pleasure to guide through this evolution. And of course, I will share with you what's on the other side and what's the instrumental aspects of this. So first of all, at some moment in time, you'll be invited to rise. And how you'll be invited to rise may be different. It depends. And either you are going to be invited to rise because you are inspired by someone, you have that desire to be a better, greater leader, more impactful leader, whatever you put there, and you see some people on a different level and you want to be more like them. You are so inspired, and that inspiration is such a strong pull. That desire is calling you in to pick up the call and lean in that growth journey. So that's kind of one of the way that you can be invited to it. And another way is through challenges. That's still most common way, I must say, and witness. This is where we don't know anymore what to do, where we go in cycles, where we losing ourselves in the process as leaders, we doubt ourselves, where things do not work the way we wanted, when results do not come, where team is not working cohesively and effectively together, when we experience plateau, stagnation, or stuckness in some cases. And sometimes, if we don't pick up the call earlier in the phases, when we find ourselves in the place of we don't know anymore who we are. Those are also the moments, evident moments, alive, giving you, if you find yourself ever in that time, and maybe you are in this period of time when I'm sharing that with you, please know that this is a signs that you are invited to rise, invited to grow from within, invited to elevate in your consciousness and expand who you are, expand your identity, who you are being. And eventually, actually, as a result of it, rise to the next level of your existence and leadership. That is your gateway to the results and to the vision that you truly want to realize and to the mission that you hold so deeply in your heart. You never rise to the goals and vision and aspirations. You always fall to this inner operating system, to who you are being, to the patterns that you've been shaped by so far. And so this is very important to understand because yes, having a desires, having a vision, having a goal, making it beautifully clear to your team and communicating and aligning everybody and making aware of everybody where the direct, you and organizations go is a very important part of the process, of course. But it will be very hard to realize if you don't rise from within, if you don't grow within, first of all, yourself, but also your other leaders that you have a possibility to lead and the whole organization. Because as a matter of fact, we do not transform organization, but big transformational processes. We transform organizations, we transform the culture, we transform the performance, every single leader at the time. And that transformation starts with you. If you are a CEO, executive, business owner listening to me right now, you are the first who needs to evolve from within. You are the first who need to transform. You are the first who need to become this so-called role model of growth, ownership, of transformation, of elevation and evolution. That is anyway inevitable for you. And the sooner you lean in, the sooner you walk that path, the faster it's going to be, the easier it's going to be, and the faster you're going to benefit. And your organization and business and a team and a culture is going to benefit. So what are you going to be invited to go through? These 3 phases that I'm noticing when I'm working with leaders in my own journey that you have invitation towards to, that are in alignment with different conscious evolutions models that are there in leadership and beyond. Number 1, there will be a moment that you will be invited to let go of the autopilot, conditioned autopilot, and operating on proving yourself, pushing and chasing, pleasing sometimes maybe too, and step into your authentic true self by discovering actually, first of all, who you are at the core in your essence, beneath that layers of conditionings and protecting mechanism, reactive mechanisms, if you like, that you have developed over time from very, very early on. At some moment, you will be invited. And most often what I see, how this, invitation manifests is unfortunately through challenges. Most of the leaders that comes to me are either in this stage or next stage that I will describe you, on the level where they are invited to let go of the old conditioning, not being aware that that's what's already going on. So the heaviness, the proving, the pushing, the exhaustion, the frustration, the fears, the ego, that's all part of conditioned autopilot that at some moment you as a leader will be invited to let go of and step, or I would say become, and not even become, step, lean into, remember who you truly, truly are. Because it's never a process of becoming someone else. It's never a process of shaping yourself completely differently. Even the word becoming is misleading, to be very, very honest. It is about aligning yourself. It's about remembering who you are at the core. And that's why the word stepping into is more accurate language. It's stepping into the truth of who you are and leading from there without fears, without proving, without coping mechanism, from our authentic, true self that is much more wiser and much more impactful. So that's the first invitation that you will actually be invited to, which shifts the game in leadership, because this is where you will build so much better relationship with people that you lead, and connection and psychological safety is flowing from there. There is no way leaders who are operating on autopilot can ever foster psychological safety. They can talk about it, but never really create that space, because you're unable to create a space of trust and safety when you do not feel trust and safety within yourself. It's impossible. And you gain that trust and safety towards yourself when you are invited in the first place to let go of all those limitations that you probably at that moment when you start this journey are unaware of, towards the truth, towards the authentic self, towards a freer, lighter, liberated, empowered you at the end. That is what is a beautiful journey. I remember vividly how this process felt for me. It was liberating. And so it does. It's enlightening for so many leaders that I have a pleasure to work with. That's one of the first things that you'll be invited to. The second thing you'll be invited to along the journey once you're there is letting go of being an expert and a driver and becoming a catalyst of change, catalyst of growth. So many leaders are still attached to this identity, if you like, of I need to know all the answers. I need to be an expert. I need to, have all answers. I am the one that needs to solve all the problems. Or, I'm the driver. I'm the driver, and people, I need to bring so much more energy and take people with me somehow. When I am going to talk more about it and convince them more, they're going to step into the journey. That's a driver identity. And that can be a very exhausting part. I've been playing that role for a long time too in a corporate world. That's exhausting at some point. That's admirable, right? On one side, because your passion, your drive, your ambition, your desire for shaping the bigger impact is there. That's beautiful. Keep it. But shift, that's the shift that you are invited to in this moment, to a catalyst. Catalyst of change, catalyst of growth. And in order to master that shift, that first shift that I talked about is inevitable. You cannot become a catalyst of a change if you haven't first shifted from within to become more authentic you. And second, that shift requires you to embrace coaching head, if you like, to become a leader who asks powerful questions, who master presence in conversations, silence in conversation, who know when it's a time to actually empower people more into their decision taking, who knows where is it time to support them, but also where is the time to put the mirror and challenge them. Someone who is wiser, if you like, someone who is understanding that you actually cannot change people, you cannot push them to grow, but you can create an ecosystem, the space, and you can ask different questions that activate different way of thinking, and your presence, your being itself, when you are in this aligned state of authenticity, is going to be a huge important factor here in this becoming of a catalyst, because it's your presence that shifts the room. Is how people feel with you, and they will be growing, evolving, and contributing more when you create that sense of embodied from within safety and trust, and couple it with strategic conversations, I like to call, evoke insights, inspiration, and invites to growth, not because of a pressure, but because of the ownership. And of course, this works for being a catalyst for individual leaders that you lead. So developing leaders will be a focus, but also developing a leadership team. This is also where I see leaders are starting to invest into intentional journeys with leadership teams, because they start to understand how important is this process. And that's the role number one of catalyst type of leaders. It's to empower, to grow leaders, and to build highly aligned and performing and united leadership teams. And through that, lead the organization and the culture and the system. So that's the second evolution of a leader that I see. And the third evolution that you are at some point going to be invited as well when you rise in these consciousness levels is invitation to become truly a system orchestrator, a leader who lead with energetic presence, who master energy and presence, a leader who lead not from the mind, but from a whole body intelligence, a leader who is obviously along the way already rising in awareness, showing up in the moment, who can observe what it observes. A leader that understands resonance and the law of resonance, and therefore focus on leading through being. And a leader who understands that everything, what is on the outside, be it in an organization, be it in a team, be it in a business, being in life, is a mirror of your inner world. That is, I call, highly aware, impactful leadership. A leadership that is focused on service, purpose, mission, and leading from a place of deeper wisdom, whole human potential, shaping the future from the future, not from the familiar past, and resonance, mastering energy alignment, and focusing on embodiment, embodying that future version of yourself here and now, not becoming it, but being it at this very moment. Because this is also the level of awareness and consciousness that you arrive to, understanding that you are a conscious creator. So those are those three invitations that you will be invited to along your journey of leadership. And there will be thresholds, moments that you will be invited to rise, to expand, to evolve, to grow. And each of them is an identity evolution. What each of these phases and threshold actually require is, first of all, your identity expansion, right? Who you are being. What is your self image? Who do you believe you are? What is your belief system? That is the first thing that you will need to shift and evolve, expand, if you like, at each of this threshold and embody the next level identity, next level consciousness, next level awareness. You will need to shift your beliefs around leadership, around people, around business, around yourself. And those beliefs will be paradigm shifting for you, will be allowing you to shift the gear of operation in your business and leadership. So they will be helping you to lead with more, not only more effectively and impactfully, but with more ease, with less efforts, with less hustle, more intentionally, more grounded, more calm, more aligned. So, of course, you in every of the steps are becoming the more wiser, authentic, bolder, grounded version of yourself. The third thing what you'll be working on is expanding your capacity for more, expanding your inner body capacity and your nervous system to hold more. You'll be invited to step to this next ladders when you are going for the next role, when you are invited to lead differently, to arrive to the goals and business objectives that you planned for. As a leader who is ambitious, who wants to make an impact, who wants to make a positive change, who wants to bring the organization to greatness, to the better way of leading, to a better performance results, to a more cohesion, and create a culture where everybody gives their best in and grow, you will be 100% invited to rise through this ladder of conscious evolution because it will be required from you. That is what creates your ceiling, if you like. And if you don't rise in your consciousness and identity, this is where you experience the ceiling. This is where you experience stagnation. This is where you experience huge confusion, a misalignment, sometimes emptiness, losing yourself along the way. It sometimes can be very, very painful, or it will show up in a lot of health issues, problems in marriage or in relationships, or in finances and business results. It can show up in many different ways. But those are those precious moments for invitations to rise. And the sooner you recognize that and lean into that and choose your guide, the easier, the faster, and more powerful and intentional this journey will be for you. And even if you've been already on this journey for some time, investing in your growth, investing in becoming more authentic from within and leading more impactfully, becoming a leader that is a catalyst and system orchestrator and leading through presence. Yes, there will be a moment that you will be invited to rise again. There will be a moment to be invited to go maybe to a depth of it or to embody the next layer of it. And so you might find yourself in that confusion again, in the emptiness, in feeling like something is strange because I've done so much work and, I feel like going backwards. It happened literally to me and it happened to some of my clients as well. And so it's important to understand that this is never about going back and this is not a sign of failure. These are the precious moments showing us we outgrown the identity and we're invited to step into new way of leading, new way of being, or next expansion, next level for ourselves. And that always drives us to something greater and better for ourselves and for people that you lead and for our lives and for our businesses, for our organization, for everything else. And that's how this beautiful journey and roller coaster of growth is. So I wonder when I was sharing that with you, where you find yourself right now, where you find yourself on that evolution, that ladder of consciousness, conscious evolution, if you like, an identity expansion journey. Who do you see yourself today to be? And where are you invited to step into? Where you are invited to grow and to expand? Sometimes you will be invited to grow and expand by leaving an organization. That's a fact too. Or shifting the role. I experienced that. Some of my clients experienced that. And some were not able to detect it pretty early on and stayed for too long. And it cost them well-being and time of recovery. So sometimes where you are invited to is to realize that you outgrown your environment and your next evolution is simply somewhere else. Sometimes it will be in a different role in the same ecosystem, but very often it's an invitation to be in another ecosystem. Now, I guess one of the key questions that you have is, who do I become when I go through those stages? What kind of leader I am becoming? Well, think about it first. If you are rising through those different moments and thresholds of evolution, becoming more authentic, letting go of what has been creating so much heaviness in your own journey and frustration, you're becoming wiser. You are able to unlock potential in your people, and you are leading the system, knowing more, having such wider awareness and being able to regulate yourself in the moment. You become a leader whose presence shifts the room. You become the leader whose clarity stabilizes the system, whose energy creates trust, psychological safety, who activate possibility with a vision, who move effortlessly people into alignment and co-creation without force, but with clarity, with sovereignty, with presence, with the right questions. You become a leader that naturally people grow in your presence, and a leader who asks questions that really sparkle insights, deeper thinking, shifts, ownership. A leader to navigate challenges with so much more ease, so much more trust in uncertainty and all the volatility. That brings hope, that lifts people up, and that make a decision from a deeper, wiser place very often much more faster, and ultimately realize so much more that others call impossible. A leader who sets a new standard, a leader who shapes the future from the future, a leader who is not only regarded but inspiring, a leader who other wants to follow. Because as you rise in consciousness, as you are rising in this evolution, you are evolving to the legacy leader, to the leader that is making truly a difference. And one last point, you are growing multidimensionally. Your life shifts, your relationships improves at home. Your well-being is on a completely different level. You have more fulfillment, more balance, while you are creating extraordinary results. Because when you are evolving consciously and expanding your identity, this is where you grow multidimensionally. And that's the beauty of it. It's not anymore of improving yourself in one area. It's evolution of your being. And it's always multidimensional because you are the same being, the same person playing different roles in different areas of life. And that is why I'm always so fascinated and passionate about this journey, as you can probably hear. This is what I am committed and, well, devoted myself to and to walk and continuously evolve in. And this is why I love to facilitate this journey for other leaders as well, because I know what it brings. And it's usually an enlightening, life-changing, transformational path. All leaders, I would say, never imagine what is possible on the other side before stepping in. And that is why also I created and shaped the Legacy Leader, a space for CEOs, executives, and business owners who can evolve, expand, grow from within in this conscious evolution in order to realize the vision, realize the mission, realize the objectives that they have and desires with their organization, with their business, and in their life. So I want to leave you with this. First of all, ask yourself, where am I now in this conscious evolution as a leader? Where am I invited to expand next year? Who am I invited to step into so that my organization, my business, my legacy, my life, the vision that I want to realize can actually come into fruition? And if you feel a resonance from this transmission, from this episode, and you feel that it's time to rise, it's time to evolve to your next level in this journey that will serve your legacy, your vision, your mission, and of course, organization and business, then let's have a conversation and explore how the legacy leader could help you in navigating it, in your own expansion, and in the impact that through that you are shaping. Because when you rise, everything else will rise with you. And with that, I want to close this episode, and I want to close this year. I want to thank you so much for being with me in this journey. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I hope it serves you. I hope it serves your journey, your path, your leadership, your organization. And I will see you in the year 2026 with refreshed energy, but definitely focus on that conscious evolution and expansion of leaders, serving you here through this podcast, inspiring you, giving space for impactful and inspiring conversations and stories and transformations. Because ultimately, this is a call to rise in our leadership consciousness, to rise in the evolution, to redefine what leadership is about, and to make a positive impact in our organizations, in our businesses, in our lives. I wish you still Merry Christmas and, of course, Happy New Year. Wishing you to start this year with clarity, confidence, and refueled energy. And see you in January.